And God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it distinguish between the waters in the waters." And Swedenborg explains, after the Spirit of God has brought forth into day the knowledges of truth and of good, and has given the first light that the Lord is, that he is good itself and truth itself, and that there is no good and truth but from him. He then makes a distinction between the internal person and the external, consequently between the realizations that are in the inner person and the memory knowledge that belong to the external person. The internal person is called an expanse. The understanding or realizations which are in the inner person are called the waters above the expanse. And the memory knowledges of the external person are called waters beneath the expanse. A human, before he or she is regenerated, does not even know that there is an internal person, much less that internal person is, much less is he or she acquainted with the nature and quality. So, right there you can see there's the internal and the external. The internal is supposed to flow into the external, and the external is remade and refashioned or sustained in its proper form by the internal. But when we're cut off from within, when we look to the world, to experts, to study, to knowledge, when we get caught up with words and people, personalities, and resentments, and ambitions, and caught up with food and with music. Not that there's anything wrong with food or with music, but when we get caught up in them and immersed in them, and then we become immersed in our thoughts, immersed in our feelings, immersed in our body to the extent that we identify totally with the body, and we don't even know we have an internal person. You see how that could happen. That's what happens to most of us. That's what ego supportiveness does to us. That's what culture does to us. That's what study does to us. That's what all the authorities of the world. See, how do they become authorities? They make sure that people are separated from intuition, separated from God, separated from realizations. And then those people then become dependent on those external authorities for knowledge and everything else. You see how that works? Now let me continue reading.